Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
Whatever. I actually, you know what's funny? I was just thinking about my friend Ryan. He's the one that started Gen Z Outdoor, and I was thinking about what I wanted to ask him, because, like, if I can figure this whole phone thing out, like, I'm calling him. And I thought, I wonder, I was going to ask him, like, at what point do you consider your company right now a success? And if not, like, at what point will you? But then I was just thinking, like, when you said that, I was just thinking, geez, like, I wonder how would I answer that, you know? Like, I kind of already feel like this is a success just because, like, I've done it. Like, I started it and I, you know, have a bunch, and I mean,
you put episodes out there, and
I don't see myself stopping. So anyway.
Yeah. I would definitely say it's a success already.
I mean, it's kind of like when people like first start running, you know, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not a runner." Well, if you run, you're a runner, you know? Like, it's kind of hard to see yourself as that. You know, then it's like, well, should I have done a marathon first, you know, to consider myself a runner? Or I don't know. Then you just, whatever you want to be, just call yourself that and do that thing and then call yourself that and you're good. So.
No, absolutely. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about it, right? Like, if you lace up your shoes, it doesn't matter if you go around the block or run 100 miles. Like, you're a runner. It doesn't matter how fast. It doesn't matter, you know, like, and that's the whole thing, like, that I am experiencing, learning from the running community is, like, people don't care. I think that's all people want to see. You know, that's people enjoying the sport that they enjoy.
I forget, how long have you been running for?
September 4th, 21, I took my first step on an actual run. And then September 11th, I ran a 10K. I walked a 10K. So just over a year.
Right. And why did you initially sign up for that 10K?
My company is a sponsor, and so it was free registration. And I was like, all right, well, so we had the weight loss surgery in March, and one of the biggest things is
when you say we, do you mean you and your wife?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize she had it too. Okay.
Yep. She had it the same day. I mean, she actually went first. So her procedure was like 30 minutes, and then mine was right after. So we both had it the same day, and then it's laparoscopic, so they pump that air into your abdomen, and they try to get it all out, but they can't, right? Like, some of it gets tucked up under your organs or whatever. So the biggest thing to get rid of it, like your body, once they sew you, stitch up the little holes, like, your body has to absorb what's in there, and it can move around and get trapped in different places. So the best thing you can do is walk. Yep. Like, mine would get stuck up in my shoulder, and, like, I could barely move.
You had an air bubble in your shoulder?
So if you think about it, right, you've got an air bubble in a bottle, like a bottle of water. If you turn it upside down, the air moves to the top. Well, as soon as you start standing up, the air starts moving. It wants to rise.
So basically, you wanted to they advised you to start moving around and running to help with that?
We had to be up walking. Yeah, we had to be up walking the same day.
Yeah.
In order to get the gas out.
Did you, like, burp it out? I know this sounds really dumb. I've just never heard of this.
No.
Sorry.
No. It's not dumb at all. I thought the same thing. Because it's like, oh, it's gas. Like, you got it. But, I mean, gas things do, like, gas medicine can help, but really it's not like in your stomach. It's just in your abdominal cavity.
Right.
So no, you don't actually end up burping it out. But some of the gas and medicines can help.
Right.
But yeah, it's the wildest thing. So they tell you to get up and start walking, right? So as I was losing weight, I just wanted to be more, I felt like being more active. So I started walking the dog, and it was short at first, just like around the block or whatever. And then the walks got longer and longer. And I was like, all right, I wonder what running would be. Because I've seen, I had a friend who was doing these crazy long distance runs and things like that. So I just was like, well, let's see what that would be like. So I did. And I was like, well, that was kind of fun. It was painful. It sucked. But I did it again and just kept doing it. And like I said, that our company had was a sponsor of that race. So I was like, well, it's free. Why not try it?
I'm just curious, how much was the entry fee?
$35 or $40.
Okay. I was just thinking about, I wonder how much that holds people back, $40 holds you back from like potentially changing your life completely. Like I know friends who, they signed up for a 5K and they did the Couch to 5K app and then they were ultra runners a few years later, and
Crazy.
So you started running because you had your surgery and then you started moving around more and then you just thought, oh, I'll do a 10K because it's free and there you go. Yeah.
And my friend Amanda, who, she started running during the pandemic, and she started running for her health. She ran the first 4 years she was running. She did it all on the treadmill.
Wow.
She lives on a farm with her husband. They have a treadmill graveyard on the farm. Worn out warranties, they'll come out and be like, we cannot service this anymore. And so when it dies, they take it out and dump it in the pile, and she'll get another one.
Oh, wow.
And she's been through 4, 5, 6, I don't know. So we went to middle school together, and I reached out to her when I was getting started.
Does she still live in Kentucky?
So she's close to Kentucky. Yeah,
okay.
She lives in southern Illinois. And so I reached out to her. We reconnected on Facebook, and I saw that she'd been doing all this running and stuff. And so I was like, all right, I'm thinking about getting into this, tips and tricks and whatnot. And so we just reconnected that way. And she's like, all right, you keep doing this. She's like, why don't you come to Louisville? So she had to postpone or transfer her race registration a couple of years because of COVID and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
For this half marathon. She's like, come up and run this. She's like, I will run this half marathon with you. I'm like, okay. So I flew to Louisville in October last year. So it was just over a year I'd been running. And
that was this past October.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that.
And so I had just been working on my own, hadn't had a coach or anything, just did like the Run Keeper app.
Mm-hmm.
For training. And went to Louisville. Things were good. I got all emotional when I saw my wife at the finish line, and Amanda grabbed my hand. She thought I was going to stop and run over to my wife and not cross the finish line. So she grabbed my hand and she was like, come on. So my goal was to do 10-minute mile. And what she didn't tell me was she got me talking, sort of like you're doing right now, and I just, kind of kept going because we were catching up or whatever.
Yeah.
And she started pushing the pace on me, and we wound up finishing faster, 9:47 or something like that.
Wow.
And she thought I was going to stop and mess up all the hard work that she had done to get us ahead of schedule.
Right.
So October, first half marathon, finished in 2:07, and like as soon as like I said, the tears started. Ugly face, crying when I saw my wife cross that finish line, and I'm like, okay, this is really possible. Like I can do hard things, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess that was like when the running bug bit a little harder. So I was like, all right, bigger, let's keep going.
Well, that was right after Consequence of Habit, right?
Yes.
Because that kind of started around September?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was already planning for that.
I remember I was sitting in a breakfast place, and it was sort of the beginning part of like Olive's like health issues, and I was like just the worst mom. I was like snapping at her, and it was so bad, and she wanted to go out for breakfast, and then she didn't really eat her breakfast, and I love going out for breakfast. It's my favorite thing. And anyway, so we're sitting there, and
that's fun.
Yeah, I love it. I just went today with my friend. I was on my phone, and I saw that like, okay, we've accepted all the entries, and I was like, no, because I had written JT ahead of time and said, I'm totally applying for this. Like, this is my thing. And I saw that I missed it, and I wrote JT back. I said, can I please apply? A lot of shit's going on right now, and I totally forgot. Like, can I please apply? And he's like, sure. So I just sat there and like made her wait, and she's like, I want to go. And I was like, shut up. And I filled out the form, like wrote this huge paragraph about like, whatever, persevering and all this stuff. And yet now I'm going through this other shit, and I need my habits like more than ever now. And
more than ever.
Sure. Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Submit. So, and I got in. So it felt pretty awesome. But how did you stumble upon JT? I'm guessing just through Instagram, but.
Yeah, just through Instagram. And, I
think I follow Taylor Spike, and I think that's he posted about maybe being on like his podcast or something, and I think that's how I first sort of started following.
Yeah. So Taylor Spike and Cameron Haynes. I saw you were wearing a hat yesterday.
Oh yeah, my run hat. Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. So you have an incredible memory, and I'm super jealous of that. I do not. I can't remember what I ate for dinner yesterday. But I really don't know how I found it, but I saw something, applications are available, and I'm like, all right, like Consequence of Habit. Like, I think, like, it just made sense.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll apply and just see what happens. And that was the first one that I had applied to as far as like the ambassador. I was like, I don't even know what this means, but I kind of went into the whole running thing and weight loss and all that stuff. And, he accepted my application. I was like, all right, this is cool. And,
Florida's 3 hours ahead, right? And where's JT? He's in Virginia? No.
Delaware.
Oh, okay.
Delaware.
God, yeah. Todd, you give me a map, I would not be able to tell you where Delaware is. I'm so terrible with the tiny ones. I can nail a bunch of big ones, but I do not know where the tiny ones are.
I love it. Does it really matter? No, it's up in the Northeast somewhere.
Sure, yeah.
Like, just point in the general direction. They're so small, if you just put your finger on it, you're bound to touch it.
Just high five the East Coast, and you'll eventually hit it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know much about the Pacific Northwest, but it rains a lot here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that from Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight. Yep.
It was rainy and gray all the time.
It really is. It's really depressing. So if you're going to go anywhere, like go somewhere in February. So I went to Cancun in February because I'm like, I got to get out of here. It worked out.
And that's why you didn't make the last.
That's why I didn't make the last meeting, because I was in Cancun.
Yeah. You're like, maybe I'll sign in from Mexico.
Although the time was probably the same. Like well, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know what the timing is there, but it probably would have worked out. I wasn't at school. I wasn't doing anything important. I probably could have made it.
No, but you were with your family, and that was more important.
Sure. Yeah. I was probably just sunburning on the beach. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I think the last day or the second to last day, Olive and my dad were in the ocean just playing catch. I think I was just like on the balcony. I could see them from where we were staying, and they like run, not run, but they get out of the water, and she comes up and she's like, we saw a barracuda. I'm like, a barracuda? Yeah, it swam right by us. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, what? I said, do you know what barracuda looks like? Because we watched this show called Big City Greens. I don't know if your kids watch it, but there's this like stupid song and he just sings barracuda, ooh. And so me and Olive will just sing it all the time. So like, I don't know, in our heads, barracudas are these cute little things on a cartoon.
Right.
And so I Googled what they look like, and she was like, I'm never going back in the ocean here again. Oh,
That's
man.
awesome.
It was scary. Yeah, they were playing with this big orange ball, and maybe he thought it was food or something, but
awesome.
yeah.
We're about 40, 45 minutes from the beach on the East Coast, New Smyrna.
Are you like on the part of Florida that like sticks down, or no? Like the part that comes down? Is that where you are, or are you further up, further north?
Yeah, I'm not. Like, I know we just talked about your geographical deficiency. Like 90% of Florida sticks down.
Does it?
So yes. So yes. No, we are basically right in the middle. We are just a little bit north of Orlando.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I've never been to Florida, so okay. And this ocean you speak of, what are you talking about? Just kidding. I know what the ocean is. Okay, so you're about 40 minutes from the water.
Yes.
And it's always warm there, is what I'm guessing.
I mean, it does go. We endure the summers for our nice mild winters. The summers can get pretty nasty, and it.
It's like you don't go swimming in the ocean in the summer?
Of course we do.
Oh, okay.
The point I was getting at, back to your barracuda story, was New Smyrna Beach, where we go, is the shark bite capital of the world.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow.
So I'll send you their Instagram post from this morning. There's probably an 8-foot hammerhead caught on the beach this morning.
Wow.
Guys fishing from the shore.
What's the town called?
New Smyrna, Smyrna.
So do they just lean into that? Like, do they have shirts that say like New Smyrna, the shark bite capital of the world?
100%.
Do they?
Yes. Yes.
That is hilarious.
Yes, 100%.
Like, you think, some people might think, oh, we probably shouldn't talk about this. It's going to drive people away. But they just went in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Huh. They just grab right onto it because, like, I mean, it happens, Like, there was a video not long ago of this baby shark, like, lashed onto this guy's arm. And they kept trying to pry it off, and every time they would, like, pull, it would just clamp down harder. So he's like, yeah, just leave it. It'll be fine.
So you still go in the water even though there's sharks everywhere?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, you can't. This may make it worse. I'm like, you can't really see them. So
you don't know that you're going to die. It just instantly happens.
Yeah, you don't know that they're by you, and unless, like, you see all this drone footage. And there's people out there surfing and swimming and whatever, and there's sharks like 2, 3, 4 feet away, and they have no clue.
Oh my
And it's
God.
just like cruising by.
See, when I think of Florida, I like dangers. I think of like alligators just walking up and chomping on your toddler. Like that's the thing that I think of the most. I didn't really think about the shark attacks. Huh.
There's no alligators at the beach. There are occasionally they get lost.
No, I meant like if you're just walking around, like, I don't know, if you're golfing. I'm just picturing a golf course, or, if you're, didn't someone get like eaten at Disney World or something? Like an alligator came out of the water feature? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. A young kid.
Yeah.
One of their resorts. Yeah. So now they've got all fences and a bunch of signs and things up.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are everywhere for sure. Like we have.
Like, where's the weirdest place
ponds.
that you've seen an alligator?
The weirdest place? Well, like during the hurricane, this last one, there were alligator in the road, like floating down the road because it was flooded.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of sharks also over closer to the beach. Sharks in the middle of the street because the water was in the road.
Now, did the hurricane, did your house get affected?
We've had like a little bit of a roof leak, but that was about all. Our street floods, so we just have to wait a little while for it to go down, and it just overwhelms the drains.
But does that damage your house though?
It can, but we have our roof is fairly new.
Well, I'm thinking your basement, or the ground floor. Like, wouldn't that damage it?
We don't typically have basements here.
Is your house on stilts?
No.
It sounds like it should be. No?
No, we're kind of up on a hill. Okay. But we don't have basements here because we're so close to sea level that the groundwater, you couldn't keep a basement dry.
Oh, okay.
So they don't dig down. Like our house is like one level.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't. They dig down some. Like we have pools, but we don't have basements.
Are a lot of houses there only one level because of all the hurricanes, and so you don't want to be high up? Or does that not factor in?
I'm sure it does.
Oh.
Definitely the height of it. It's the wind, right? It's mainly the wind.
Yeah.
But kind of being in this little neighborhood that we're in, we don't really get too much of the high, we've got trees and things like that around that kind of break up the wind. You would need to be out in a flatter spot, like near the beach or something like that, where the wind it doesn't have anything to break it or to slow it down. So it just, crashes straight through.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I don't know if I had told you this story, but my sister, when the hurricane happened in New Orleans years ago, my sister went down there and she was actually helping spay pit bulls because the pit bull population in New Orleans is really high. And then massive. After the hurricane, there's just dogs walking around everywhere, And so I don't think they went down specifically to spay and neuter pit bulls, but it was that was a huge percentage. But anyway, when she went there, she met this girl who had, so she would live 6 months in Canada and then 6 months in Thailand. So her family would split their time, and they were not in Thailand when the tsunami hit, but they went back after. And, unfortunately, their whole place was just gone. But they were talking to a bunch of the locals, and they said that when right before the tsunami hit, they thought that the elephants in the village were going crazy because they were picking people up and throwing them on their backs and running. And they were running for the hills.
Way.
Yeah. And they said, I'm actually getting goosebumps just telling the story. When they got to the hill, they would just stop at a certain point, and literally the water came up within a few feet of where they were standing.
Of where they stopped.
Yeah. They didn't even run to the top of a hill. They just ran to the distance that it's they knew they needed to go to. Isn't that crazy? Animals know.
Yeah. You mentioned the hurricane down in New Orleans. Did you see that? That last big one that was down in Houston, there was this hawk that flew into a taxi cab driver's. He flew into a cab, like wouldn't leave, wouldn't get out of the cab. So this guy just like kind of took him home and like called somebody and got him some, and they're like, yeah, just, it's trying to find shelter, so just hang on to it. And when the storm goes away, like it'll like open the doors and it'll leave on its own.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like 2 or 3 days, once everything had kind of settled down, they opened the door and the bird he took off.
Wow.
Like, I don't know. There's, I mean, obviously, and you got to think, I mean, it kind of lends to the credibility of like Noah and the flood, and
yeah,
like, I don't know. It's just their intuition.
Yeah.
And that's another thing where I kind of like this year. I don't know if you're like a word of the year person, but it started for me a couple of years ago, and I think it's dumb, but I still do it anyway. And so for this year was perseverance, and I kind of latched on to this whole idea of the bison.
Yeah.
And have you heard of like, so if there's cattle, right? There's a herd of cattle and there's a storm coming or whatever, they'll try to run away from the storm, and it just prolongs their suffering. But if the herd of bison, if they sense a storm's coming, they will turn and face it and basically charge into it because they know it's going to be very difficult, but they go ahead and get it over with. Their suffering is over quicker because they embrace it and turn into it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with this whole running, and I'll relate it back to that, this whole running thing, like, so being so new, I've had a lot of quote unquote success, right? I've, a lot of PRs, just running races and doing well and feeling good. And so with that success has brought along this desire, this urge to just keep going, to do more, bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, putting myself out there for that situation, I feel like, or I believe, just like you talked about your DNF, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without that.
Wait, which one? Oh, the first chuckanut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one. Like, without your DNF, you wouldn't be the person you are today.
Oh, yeah. I would have never, like, even experienced my upriver, like, summer and all those connections there. And, yeah, who knows if I even would have started this, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so my sense is that with this desire for more, bigger things, there's going to be some suffering, right? There's going to be,
oh yeah,
maybe there's going to be a DNF. Maybe there's going to be some failure, some things that I haven't experienced yet that I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to take it. I don't know how it's going to, but I'm also ready for that. I'm ready to experience that. I'm ready to see where I go from here. What does that mean? Because what does it look like for me? Because I don't know. I'm interested. I want to know.
Well, look where it's brought you so far.
What I'm saying is, if I'm tough enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, can I handle it mentally? Failure is kind of scary for me. And this is something we can get into another time if you want. But we moved to Florida so I could work at a church as a youth pastor. I was there.
Is this when you moved from Kentucky?
I moved from Kentucky,
okay.
Yes, to Florida. So I went to a Christian college and got a degree in youth and family ministry. And I worked at the college in admissions for a couple of years, and then we moved down here for me to work at a church.
Right.
youth young adult pastor. I worked there part-time for almost 5 years. And so December 2009, I got a raise. I was ordained. They increased my hours. Like, things were good, right? Like, we were cranking. Things were going really well. We bought a house, the house that we're currently in, on a short sale. It took us like 3 months to get it ready to move in. It was just a mess. And then one Wednesday morning in June 2010, the pastor calls. I'm at Home Depot buying some stuff for this project we're working on at church. And he's like, hey, are you coming in today? And I'm like, yeah, I'm at Home Depot, whatever. He's like, all right, come find me in the conference room when you get here. Okay. So I get there. My office is right next to the conference room. I walk in. I don't like even go into my office. I go in and there's the lead pastor and an elder. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he goes, well, he's like, I'm not going to like beat around the bush. You know, we are going to ask for your resignation today. And I was like, what? I mean, and obviously, you know, just shook, you know, because I didn't see this coming. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? And he goes, well, I've got a list. He's like, but I don't think it would be beneficial to get into it right now. So he produces this piece of paper that was basically like a resignation letter. It was already typed up. And basically they kind of, I don't want to say held me hostage, but it was either resign and get this like 2 month severance package, mm-hmm. or don't sign it and be fired and get nothing. My wife wasn't working. My daughter was like 2.5 at this point. Mm-hmm. And so immediately I just kind of go into this survival mode. I'm like, all right, I'll sign the paper. So this was Wednesday. I couldn't go to church on Sunday morning when they made the announcement. And I couldn't go to youth group Sunday night when he told the kids. And so that happened Wednesday. Thursday morning, I went to work for my wife's uncle at a sheet metal shop.
Okay.
And, I was there for a year and then moved to a different position for better benefits and things like that, and got stuck in a shitty position there where I wound up working weekends. I was listening to you talk to Jack about you working at the pulp mill and your hours there. I worked 3/12s, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Ooh, day shift?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
It was 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
But this is the time, like, when my kids are playing soccer and doing all the fun, like, youth kid sports and things, yeah. Right? And church. Like,
well, and weekends with your family, you know, going out, right. And picnics and, yeah.
Yep. All that stuff is just gone. So, long story short, failure is kind of scary for me. Because of all, like I said, I thought everything was fine at the church. I had no idea this was coming. And it was more than just a job, right? Mm-hmm. It's a calling. It was our whole community. Like, it was the people that we hung out with all the time. Yeah. And so it wasn't just a job. It was losing way more than that. And so, yeah, all that to say, like, failure is scary. And yeah. So I don't know. I'm not scared of it, right? Like, my mentality's, I did some counseling. Like, I've talked to the pastor since all this went down a couple of times, and he said some things I needed to hear, and, you know, it's all kind of behind me now. Obviously never going to forget it, but mm-hmm. I've moved on, like, emotionally. So all that to say, I don't know what these things are going to look like this year if I get into these bigger races, and, you know, what's a DNF look like, you know?
Right. Well, I think if you never have a DNF, you're like, why are you even here? Like, what are you doing? You know?
Right.
Because
you're not pushing, your goals aren't big enough.
What's the point of just keep doing half marathons? Like, why? Why would you even do that? I mean, I guess if you want to keep breaking your PR for time, but I mean, personally, that's just not my thing. But that can be related to life in general, you know? Like if I saw this sign that said, if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. Kind of makes me think about that. Like if you've never failed, like, you know, yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah. So yeah, and even so to that point, like people pleasing, like I am just getting to a point where I'm okay if I think someone doesn't like me. It would destroy me
if one person didn't like you.
Yep.
Wow.
I would obsess over it and like, why? What did I do? You know, what's wrong with me? A lot of insecurities. And I'm sure we could psychoanalyze that, you know?
Question 1. What topic could you spend hours talking about? I would say running for me. I could talk about running for hours. Races and running and people who run.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I'm new to the whole thing. I don't know that much about running and probably bourbon.
What?
Bourbon, like the whiskey.
Oh, I thought you said vermin, like with a V. I'm like, rats? Because you were talking about armadillos earlier or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, one thing I will tell you, speaking of that, one thing I really miss about being at home, one of the things on the list.
In Kentucky?
We don't have skunks down here. Yeah.
There's no skunks? Wait, why do you want to see a skunk?
I don't necessarily want to see one, but I miss the smell of them.
Really? Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Huh. What did you want to be when you were 10 years old?
Fireman.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my dad was a volunteer fireman and EMT. He passed away when I was 5. He had cancer. Mm-hmm. So it was just me and Mom for like 11 years. But yeah, definitely a fireman.
Do they have volunteer firefighters there?
Down here in Florida, no. In Kentucky, yes.
What are you doing? It's really annoying, that noise.
Well, that's
is that your dog? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. I feel bad now.
Cooper, yeah, he picks the most. It's fine. He picks the opportune times to chew on his squeaky toy.
Okay. What movie do you quote from regularly?
Talladega Nights.
What specific quotes?
Oh, all of them.
I think I've only seen that once. I should watch it again.
Oh my gosh. He's doing the interview and he's like, I don't really know what to do with my hands. And he like raises them. That or Dazed and Confused.
Okay. Yep. I think I've only seen that once too.
It's probably one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I was born in the wrong decade. I was born in 80. Should have been born like mid-70s because I just love all that, like Led Zeppelin and Grateful Dead and all that music.
Did you like the movie Almost Famous?
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, I feel like you would like it. It just has to do with that kind of music. Yeah.
Almost Famous.
Yeah. Have you seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Ben Stiller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Loved it.
That's probably like Olive and I watch it a couple times a year. And
really?
Yeah. We just sometimes like need like a refresher and like, all right, like this is like how we want to live, you know?
It's amazing. Yeah. It's really cool. And Jack Johnson's version of that song, the the one where he writes the love story or he writes the personal ad.
Oh, I don't know that song.
What?
No. Yeah, send that to me.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, remember, it's a terrible song. He's like talking about his wife and or his girlfriend, I guess, and like they've just, like, it's an old routine, so he writes this, puts this personal ad, and then somebody writes back, if you like pina coladas.
Oh, yeah.
Getting caught, that song.
Yeah.
But Jack Johnson's version on that movie is really good.
Huh. I'll check it out. What is your favorite holiday memory? I'll share mine. When I was a kid, I don't know why, but I really loved, my sisters and I would sit around or we had like maybe a couple couches and like a love seat around like in the living room where the Christmas tree was. And we would play like I Spy. Like I Spy is something that is red. And then we'd have to like find the ornament that there, like there's like a dot of like maybe a mouse has like a red nose on an ornament. And so we're like, this or this, or we would do that for hours. This is, before phones.
Well, yeah. Just sit there for hours and pick different things. And it never got boring.
I don't think so. No. And this is not a holiday one, but I also remember like during the summers, this is before we all started working. So we're between the ages of like, 12 and 15. We'd be home all day in the summer. And one summer we watched TV like every day. We just kept all the curtains shut and we just watched, Price is Right and all those, probably watched Days of Our Lives. And then we invented Queen of the Day. And so we'd basically make each other like, okay, well, today Kath is Queen of the Day. And we would just like basically treat her like it was her birthday. And we would like wrap up stuff for her and like, make her food. And I think we even made a crown. Like,
oh, that sounds awesome. Queen of the Day. And I'm sure she got to pick what you watched. And
I can't remember. I'll have to ask if either of my sisters remember that.
Did you see my recommendation about that book? Rick Rubin's book?
Oh, yeah. How is that?
Oh my gosh. I listened to it the whole time yesterday.
What is it specifically about? About being creative, or?
Yep, it's called The Creative Act. So do you know who Rick Rubin is, right? Like he's this huge famous music producer.
Yeah.
But he also he talks a lot about spiritual things and how the spiritual things have to be right in order for the creative things to be right. And like it was just it made me think about Anthony and his art and like the things that you're trying to do. The same thing. I can't remember her name, from Sauk Valley.
Oh,
Sauk
yeah,
Mountain,
Nicola. Yeah. Sauk Mountain.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, same kind of thing she was talking about.
Yeah. There's creative forces that are right behind you. Like, you just have to start. Just put that pencil to the paper. We will tell you what the next step is, but you have to, you have to do it. Just, I kind of like, I sort of think about that for running too, like when I was laying in bed and it was dark and cold and rainy, and all I have to do is get up, and get out the door. Then like somebody will help me figure this run out, but I can't be helped if I'm just laying there. So
yeah. And it's amazing, like, and as much as you, like you said, the resistant, right?
Yeah.
As much as this force is like pushing against you, as soon as you get out there, as soon as you start, it's like, okay, this is it. Like, this is,
well, and it almost made me want to do it more because it was so terrible out, and like when I went on that run on Friday, that group run, I was thinking, I really want it to rain before we go out there, because then the ones that, the sort of soft-hearted, like lackadaisical runners, like they're not going to be there. Sure enough, it was just 3 of us, and I was like, "Yep, these are my people."
And you're like, "Yeah, these are the ones. Yeah, this is my group."
Anyone can show up when it's nice out. I mean, yeah. So, but I mean, in terms of like so here, the hardest part is running in the winter and running when it's like windy and cold. Like down there, would you actually have the opposite where you're like, shit, it's like 100 degrees. Like I can't, it's horrible to go out, but I have to. Like, is it the opposite down there? Like what's the hard part of running and getting out the door down there?
Um, yeah. So basically, I kind of have to force myself. So if I don't run first thing in the morning, and like I'm going to keep up with this training stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't do it in the morning and I put it off until the afternoon, like right now, it is. Let me see.
5:12.
It's 5:12. It's 89 degrees.
89 degrees? Oh my God.
Today's actually a nice day because the humidity is only 32%.
Okay.
But if I don't run first thing in the morning, I'm gonna have to go out and run in this, and I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the temperature is definitely a factor. The temperature, the humidity, but like there are some mornings when you go out and it's like 72, 73, but the humidity is 98, 99%, and you walk out and it's like you stepped into a sauna, and I'm
Wow.
like, well, I got to do it.
Yeah. So that's like the hard weather for you. It's the humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm halfway around the block and I'm already just like dripping, and it's not like sweat. It's just all this moisture collecting on me.
Mm-hmm. Do you take salt when you run?
I haven't, but
You're probably going to get there. I don't know. I personally I feel like when it starts to get hot and I'm sweating a lot, usually anything over, I'd say over 10 miles, I usually take some salt, maybe halfway, and then near the end too.
I just got, yesterday, the box came, I ordered LMNT.
Oh yeah.
Sodium stuff. So
yeah,
I'm going to do that. And, but no, I haven't. I think I tried salt stick one time and I was like, oh, these are gross. But
yeah, I just take it's like a pill. Like I don't taste it.
Oh, you don't, it's not something you chew?
No. It's just it's like a capsule, like a gel capsule, and I just take it. Yeah. Don't taste it at all. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have them at aid stations and
yeah, this salt stick thing was like flavored, and I'm like, God, this is terrible.
You're supposed to just like chew it like candy?
Yeah.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how like, and I'm sure people ask you like, hey, how do I get into running? And I've asked, when I first started, I asked people like, so like what should I eat before like a long run? Like it's all just experiments, like
yeah,
whatever works for you, you know, like I find that if I have like I usually have like a English muffin, just like toasted with peanut butter and a coffee, like I'm fine, you know. And I'm finding that like I need to wear compression sleeves like on my calves. Otherwise like I cramp up pretty easily. And so it's like just little things that just you figure out on your own, you know? Yeah. If I don't run with those, like I definitely notice it for sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I get weird. I don't deal with cramping. I mean, at least I haven't yet. I'm going to knock on something. But like when I get home, like yesterday, I got home and I sat down. I told my wife, it feels like there's bugs inside my legs. Like I have a bunch of like micro twitches like everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like calves,
maybe
quads.
that's like right before cramping. Maybe it is a sodium issue.
I mean, it's definitely possible. But yeah, it feels like there's like little bugs crawling around.
How long does it last for?
I don't know. 15, 20 minutes maybe.
And then Strawberry Fields 50K, that was the 100 that I got. I just did 6 laps. I'm like, I can't. It was 110 degrees, which is very hot here.
Oh my gosh. Is that the one you were hallucinating?
No, I wasn't. No, that was, I was hallucinating, after the 100K at the Gulch. This was just, I mean, I didn't die and I didn't get heat stroke, so it's a win. But, Strawberry Fields, my time for that one was 14 hours because I basically had to take a 5-hour break because like I said, it had hit like 107 degrees and there was not a ton of shade. So I had to sit out because I'm like, I'm going to die. So I waited until it went down to 103, and then I went back out.
Like down here for the Disney races, they call them the balloon ladies.
They're called balloon ladies?
Yeah. So they have like a 16-minute cutoff time.
Yeah.
And there's these 3 ladies that walk, and they keep this 16-minute pace. And if you fall behind the balloon ladies, they will, like, down here at Disney, they call it, you get swept off the course. So basically, if you fall behind, they kind of usher you off the course and put you on a golf cart and take you to the finish line.
That's so funny. They're called sweepers here, the people who are, because they sweep the course.
Got it.
Yeah.
So these ladies, they carry these big balloons, and so you can see them, and so you know if you're like falling behind, like don't get
in
caught
your
by
rearview
the
mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. No, I remember when I did Secret Beach 50 miler not last October, but the October before, so October 2021. Me and Dan drove down there, and because I knew I couldn't drive back. It was a 9-hour drive, so I drove down to Southern Oregon for this stupid race. And because I wanted to do Orcas 100, and James said if I did Secret Beach 50, then like maybe that would qualify me. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I drove down there, and I did it, and then Dan drove back because I could barely even move. But when I was down there, you run the first part like on the beach, which I don't know if you've ran on sand. It's actually really hard. So
yes.
I ran through all the sand, and then we started to go out through the forest, and this girl's behind me, and I'm thinking, gosh, like she's actually like in shape. Why is she behind me? But whatever, you know. And then at one point I stopped. I said, oh, go ahead, you know, just trying to be polite, and I didn't want to have right behind me. And she goes, oh no, that's okay. And I said, fuck, you're the sweeper, are you? And she's like, yeah. So her name was Sarah, and I said, Sarah, let's just run together. She's like, all right. So we just ran together till the next aid station. And so there's not necessarily like she wasn't keeping at a certain pace. It's like she's just making sure that, you know, no one's left behind.
She's just the last one.
So she was just trying to keep a certain distance behind me. So, but yeah, she was really cool. We had like a really great talk through the forest, and we like even had like a mutual friend. I can't remember who we knew, but it was pretty funny. Yeah. I finished that race. The most terrifying part of that race was I was in the woods at one point, and my light was getting low, and I had an extra battery, and I was deep in the forest. Like I was almost at the beach section again, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. No one's around me. No one. I was like last. And I mean, I'm talking about like the forest, like with who knows what animals. And I sat down, and I just got my battery. I got my headlamp, and I had everything in my hands. I'm like, and I closed my eyes, and I did it all with my eyes closed because I was so terrified of seeing what the woods look like in the dark.
Like turning the light off, and
I turned it off. I switched it, and I turned it back on. I made sure I saw that glow, and then I opened my eyes. Man, it was so scary. Yeah, but I remember I finished at like, I don't know, 16 hours and something or whatever. But then like a guy ran behind me, and I was like, oh, I'm not last. Well, I was the 50 miler. He was doing the 100K. So I was the last 50 miler. So.
Got it. Well, just like I said the other day you would have laughed so hard if you would have heard this sound that I made when I thought this grizzly bear was coming out of the woods, and it turned out to be an armadillo.
Oh, right.
I just knew this was going to be the end. Like, you might as well just lay down and let this thing have me.
But to be honest, okay, what if you did lay down, and what would it do? Like, what do armadillos do? Do they have teeth? Like, would they bite you?
No.
I don't know.
No, I was going to lay down when my brain told me that it was a bear. I'm not scared of the armadillo.
But I'm just saying, if you did lay down and an armadillo, quote unquote, attacked you, what would it do?
Nothing. It would come over and like bump into you. Yeah, they're not.
Do they have bad eyesight?
Yes.
That's kind of like, we have like moles here, and I think they have bad eyesight too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There was one time I was out cleaning somewhere and found like in the bushes I came across like 3 little baby ones, and this one just kept bumping into my boot while he was rooting around in the ground trying to find. They like look for bugs and stuff, but yeah, it just kept bumping into my shoe.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I like to call them tactical possums.
Okay, because of the armor they wear.
Yeah, they got body armor. So.
Do you have eagles down there? I know this sounds really dumb.
No, yeah, we do, for sure.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, and osprey.
We'll play this game called Do You Have? Wait, what are osprey? Are those like eagles?
They're, but you find them, they're like over the water mostly.
Oh, like seagulls?
No, they're different. They're, more closely like an eagle.
Oh, okay.
They go down and get fish with their claws and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, talons. I apologize. To eagles and osprey. Talons, not claws. But yeah, they're more like they're a hunter. You know, they kind of soar above the water and they'll like look for fish and then dive down and get them.
Do your fingers swell when you run? No.
I don't think I've ever noticed that, no.
Maybe when you run a bit longer, I'm sure they will.
Oh, I got it.
Maybe.
I see what you did there. Yeah. Maybe when you decide to like run real distance. Is that what you're saying? Is that where you're getting at? Yeah.
Once you man up and do a full marathon. No, just kidding.
So you mentioned the lame word. I do have a tattoo. I've got my wife and my 2 kids, the first initial of each of their names.
Oh, on your ring finger?
K. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
So I've got a K, and then an E, and an R.
Yeah. Okay, I have a tramp stamp, Todd, so trust me, like, I'm not throwing shade.
That's okay. It happens. You know, we were all in the 90s at one point.
But like I said, it was not a tramp stamp when I got it. I was the first one.
Right. I think it just depends on just how low it is.
How low it is?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's just like, right. How far up or down on the back is this thing to be considered a tramp stamp? There's probably a measurement, an official measurement
how
somewhere.
trampy is your tramp stamp?
Right. If it's right above the crack, it's definitely a tramp stamp. If it's a little higher up that you couldn't even, then you're probably okay.
I think
a lower back tattoo.
I think we should probably end on this note. This is a pretty good note to end on. Well, hey, thanks for helping me try out this this audio. I think it will be hilarious if none of this actually works and I can't use it. But it was just a nice chat that we had.
It was a nice chat. I completely forgot that you were recording until you said something about
really.
So and so on your team, they actually officially recorded it. So thanks to if you're listening, and I'm like, who's listening? Oh, that's right.
Well, we're at an hour and 47 minutes. So, I'm not saying like we said a bunch of stuff that we have to cut, but for listeners' sake, I'm probably not going to keep everything. So I'll just make sure that I'll put everything of Cooper in, squeezing that ball. I'll make sure that keeps it in.
Cooper, he got a new toy. It's a squeaky roller skate. So
oh, cute.
He's very excited about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Todd. I'll let you know. I'll send you a draft of this so you can hear it.
Yes. Thank Thank you. Good chat. This was really fun.
This was
I'm
fun.
excited to do it again and learn some more cool stuff.
All right. Have a good night in Florida.
Thanks. Have fun at your birthday party.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay.